English 121, Day 9, Analyzing Ideas and Images. Part 1, Analyzing Ideas, from the Allen and Bacon Guide, pages 359 to 364. Analysis refers to breaking down a text into its constituent parts to see the relationships among them. Analysis is very closely connected to summary and response writing. In writing an analysis, you must first listen carefully to texts as you summarize them to determine your main points. Then you must critique both the rhetorical features and the ideas of those texts. In connection with close and critical reading, analysis involves both with the grain and against the grain thinking. The analysis builds the platform from which you begin your own independent thinking. In conducting an analysis, pay close attention to the various types of rhetorical appeals that authors make, including logos, pathos, and ethos. Each of these types of appeals is closely linked to an element of the rhetorical situation: purpose, writer, and audience. In connection with the purpose, writers make logical appeals as they attempt to be reasonable in convincing their audiences. In connection with those audiences, writers make pathological or emotional appeals. Finally, writers make appeals to the audience in relation to themselves. We call these ethical appeals. Always consider whether you believe a writer to be ethical before you assimilate his or her ideas into your own point of view. Consider these types of appeals as you analyze the ideas in texts that you encounter. Part 2, Analyzing Images, from the Allen and Bacon Guide, pages 241 to 270. Just as written texts have rhetorical effects, so too do visual texts. An image's rhetorical effect derives from both its angle of vision or perspective and from the composition of the image itself. These two combined result in the rhetorical effect of a particular image. Remember to consider angle of vision. This is the perspective of the writer, the artist, or the photographer. Do you think that this photographer was trying to portray segregation in a positive or negative light? When analyzing angle of vision, consider various elements of the image itself. The first of these is distance. Close-up images increase the intensity of the images. Long shots blend the subject into the background. Also consider the orientation of the picture. Rear view perspectives emphasize the scene or the setting. Front view perspectives emphasize the image itself. Low angles grant superiority, whereas high camera angles are diminutive. Also consider the focus of the image. Looking directly at the camera implies power. Looking away implies shyness. Consider point of view. Does the image take an objective view, or is the viewer somehow involved in the scene? Finally, take into consideration the artistry of the image itself. Focusing or blurring images can affect viewers' experience. Filters alter the mood. Distorting or merging images also creates unique effects. In addition to elements of the angle of vision, also consider compositional features of visual texts. Be sure to take note of not only what is included in the image, but also what is excluded, as well as the arrangement of the details. Look at the setting details. Make note if the scene is indoor or outdoor, if the space is tidy or messy, if it is rural or urban, and what people and animals are included. Also, look at the social meaning of the image. Note how the objects signal symbolic differences in values and social class. What are the emotional effects of the images included? Also look at the roles and actions being portrayed. Create the story behind the image. Is it traditional or non-traditional? Look at the clothing and the props that are included in the image. What cultural and social significance do the clothing, hairstyles, facial expressions, and gestures have? Consider the relationships portrayed in the image. Look at how actors and objects are positioned so as to signal importance and dominance. What is in the foreground and what is in the background? Finally, consider the context in which the image appears. What surrounds the image? Is it in a newspaper or magazine? How is the document designed? What text is included or excluded? Here we have an advertisement that is meant to appear to be part of the surrounding text. Finally, when analyzing advertisements, consider a few particular things. While some ads are primarily informational, most are for parity products, meaning that the products are roughly equal in quality and therefore can't be promoted through any rational or scientific proof of superiority. Writers simply have to use rhetorical effects to convince their audience that one product is better than another. Advertisers use particular strategies in appealing to their audience. First of all, they focus on long-range ad campaigns rather than one single ad. Here we have images from the Sweet Surprise campaign put on by the Corn Refiners Association of America over the last couple of years, and you can see some similarities among all of these images, including their color, the font choices, the types of images portrayed. Advertisers also tailor their appeals precisely to target audiences. Are they writing for an audience that needs the product, merely desires the product, or might not even know yet that they want the product? Finally, ad campaigns use subtle repetitions of themes to build a psychological link between the producer and the consumer, portraying particular cultural perspectives. Consider these strategies when analyzing ideas and images.